There have been many accusations against the Sheriff's Department. How are you going to return the dignity and honor to the department if it's been lost?
We have 360 after the early retirement incentives. We have about 360 employees left at the Sheriff's Office. I say left because we had 400 just a short time ago. The folks involved in those lawsuits are a very small amount. And I think, we both talk about the Constitution here, the Second Amendment and all that. I think you have to let that court case run its course. You can't just say because there's a case filed, well, the Sheriff's Department has lost its dignity, lost it. I think you have to let it. I know I personally want it to run its course and be able to answer some of those things. Was that 30 seconds or okay? So part of the dignity will be restored just in the process itself, and you've got to know that is just a normal process to go through. So trust the system. I support the people's right to make those complaints when they think that they've been wrong, and trust the system and let it go through the system, and then see what works out.
I trust the system too. But for some reason, we've gotten to a point in the system where it's come to a head. There's been a lot of things happening lately. I'm sure that's what the question was directed at. Whether it's the recent lawsuits, whether it's the payoff a couple of years ago on another issue that the county paid for, some other things that are happening. There is a lot of issues. To restore that and for the community to look back at the Sheriff's Office and say, that's our Sheriff's Office. We're proud of that. Trust me, the department wants that too. The deputies want that too. I've had a lot of them come up to me and tell me, I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to say. We need you. We need your help. We need leadership in here that's not going to let it get to this point. It should have never gotten here. So that's the leadership style that I bring to the mindset. It's a strength issue. That's what I bring. We should never be at this point. To restore it, it's going to be through leadership. It's going to take time. It's a culture change, folks. Bear with me. Help me out. Help my deputies out as much as they want to help you.
Do you think there is a good old boys network in the Sheriff's Department and discriminatory and unequal enforcement of the laws in El Dorado County?
Before I started 2 years ago running for sheriff, a lot of people told me a lot of stuff. And I'm in law enforcement. And a lot of the stuff, I always in the back of my mind, I think, well, there's always another side of the story. There's always another side. And through my campaign, I've always taken the high road. I've always tried to do what's right. I've standed up strong. I haven't not. All my mail's been positive. Everything's been great. But the more and more I see what's going on, I'm not so sure. But I guarantee you, once I'm in there, we're going to take a good hard look at it. I already have plans, and I'm starting to look at things. Maybe have a third-party agency come in, somebody else with some fresh eyes that's not connected to me, so nobody can say, oh, this is a vindictive thing. But have somebody come in with some fresh eyes also, and look at it and do a full personnel audit and take a look at exactly what we're dealing with. Not stuff that's been hidden, not stuff that they're trying to hide, not stuff that happened, and we're trying to cover it up or whatever you want to call it. Get transparent, serve the people, remember what our oath of office is, remember what our job is, remember who we work for.
The first part of that question is kind of how I ended my other one. You're trying to ask us to comment on something that has been filed in court and kind of almost adjudicated here. I can't do that. It's got to run its course. You've got to let that, the people have filed it in court, and you've got to let that run its course. You can't comment and say, oh, this is the quick way to let this happen. So that first part of the question, I think you have to do that. The second part, do you think there's unequal treatment outside the office? Is that what?
Yeah, discriminatory and unequal enforcement of laws in El Dorado County.
There probably is here and there where people have made complaints, and we look into those, but I don't think as a general rule that we go out to enforce the laws unequal. I don't hear that I've been there 28 years. Those are mistakes where people make complaints, and we'll investigate that, but I don't see that as an ongoing problem with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay, before you sit down, this is an interesting question. What is one major change you plan to make in the department that has not been tried before, and what are the positive or negative implications of it, if any?
Well, I'll say two things. One is I talked about it in my opening, to look at positions within our department, in particular sworn positions, that can be done by other people, that can keep our numbers and maybe even increase our numbers on the street of narcotics, detectives, and patrol officers. The other thing, in kind of the same answer to the question, the best idea, I think the structure we have right now with sheriff and undersheriff, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, and deputies is a very good system. It's a very good system when you've got tons, but when you've got the money to fund that. I think that in the future, to get through this economic problem that we're in, that we can look to flattening out the management team. And you do that by making commanders, or one way anyway is to make commanders, get rid of the captain and lieutenant rank, make commanders, and we could maybe save 2 to 3 positions, which would be anywhere from $450,000 to about $650,000, which would put 4 or 5 deputies on the road, or keep them on the road.
There's an old saying, nothing new under the sun. Pretty much everything in law enforcement has been tried. Structure, budgetary issues, resident deputy positions that do work in areas that, as I said before, affect the team. One of the things I just mentioned, I don't believe it's ever been done here, is a third-party personnel audit to get some fresh eyes, see what's going on. And leadership styles that we haven't seen in about 30 years. Is that something that has never been tried? No, it's been tried and it works. A leadership style, involved leadership style, whether you call it the management by walking around style, where the sheriff is the leader, not the administrator. You can't run a paramilitary organization, which law enforcement is, from a boardroom or from an ivory tower. It does not work. We need to get the leadership back out to be a leader, back out with the people, back out with his troops, as often as he can, when he can, take the best of the best in his administration, give them direction and the freedom to do their job. But be the leader, not the administrator.
What role does the sheriff play in the treatment of county jail inmates and the people who come to visit them?
What role does the sheriff play in the treatment of visitors?
Yeah, the sheriff has a complaint about how visitors are treated.
Well, again, I think it's at the bottom line. It's who we work for. And we need to get back to that style. Always cognizant of who we work for, from the front counter at the sheriff's office, to the jail staff, support staff, to everybody. But I also tell folks that you need to help my deputies help you too. And what I mean by that is the attitude test, such as on a car stop. I bet I didn't write a book and a half of tickets my whole career working patrol, because I didn't like them, I didn't like writing them. If I stopped the car and I said, this is the reason I stopped you, please don't do this again. Usually it was cordial. I work this area all the time. If I see you doing it again, I'm going to have to give you a ticket. And it solved the problem. That's the whole purpose of traffic enforcement. But if I walk up to the car and say, what the you stopped me for, then we got a problem. Well, again, back to when I mentioned about the kids waving back with all 5 fingers. Everybody. I mean, we work for you. I understand that. 53% of the deputies in the sheriff's office understand that. But it goes both ways.
One of the things that you have to do at the jail is provide the same rules to everybody at the jail. It's impossible to say, well, you know somebody, you're an official, you're somebody important, so we're going to give you an extra visit. We're going to do something extra for you. You have to, you'll get sued up one side and down the other if you're not consistent with your visiting time and how you control that. We have had people come in, and actually in the last year and a half, and hit the ceiling because they were not allowed to visit because their visits were used up. As it turns out, probably one of the nicest people, I'll tell you her first name is Laura, probably one of the nicest people we have at the Sheriff's Department. She was Employee of the Year last year, and we go up and compliment her all the time of how how good she is with the public, is right out there at the window, controlling the visiting. I hear her all the time. She is an exemplary model employee to the folks who come in.
Closing remarks. 1 minute.
Oh, geez. Craig Therkildsen. My heart and soul is right here in El Dorado County. I've worked for you. This is where I've chose to spend my career. This is where I love the people that I work with. I am not leaving them behind. I've got 8 more years to serve. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. I get along very well with the folks I work with, the other county agencies. I've got a lot of good ideas. I'm going to hit the ground running. I don't have to learn the job. I've been a manager just for a few years in my career, the last 7 years. But I was a patrol deputy and a sergeant for 21 years. I have not forgotten what it's like. Just to reiterate, supported by DA Vern Pearson, retired Sheriff Jeff Neves, Sheriff John McGinnis, a couple of Board of Supervisors, Ron Briggs, John Knight, Bob Luca, that we both ran against here and came in 3rd place in the election, supports me. So I hope you do too. Thank you very much. And whoever you get for sheriff, I hope El Dorado County prospers economically and with the sheriff's department. So thank you all for attending. I know I've got supporters. John's got supporters here. Thank you for listening to both of us. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you again, all of you for coming here. I want to thank my wife for putting up with me for the last 2 years through this campaign. She's here with me tonight. This is the last one we have me and Craig have scheduled. We're done after this one. So we're down to 10 days. 10 days after this tonight. Tomorrow we wake up 10 days till Tuesday, so for election Tuesday. I want to stress the style of enforcement that I bring, the style that I'm talking about, the type of leadership that I'm talking about. I have the knowledge and the experience and the maturity and the ability to do this job for 2, 3, maybe 4 terms. And I think that's going to take that amount of time to get that culture and get this on track, to get us pointed in the right direction and have a succession plan so that when I'm ready to retire, we're not going through this with 6 more candidates and starting this all over again. It'll be right. So again, John DeAugustini, remember November 2nd. If you are supporting me, please get into your phone books, call your friends, your neighbor, your family. I tell people even call your enemy. Let them know. That's how important this election cycle is in this county. Thank you.
I would also like to thank the candidates for coming tonight. I cannot imagine saying the same thing over and over again for 25 different forums. They were here in May and gratefully enjoyed it enough to come back. I would also like to thank the audience. I'm very impressed. This could have been a lot different, and I'm really glad that you all focused on the educational value of the election forum. I'm very pleased, and the students back there are as well. So thank you very much again for your time. I hope you'll stay at Prop 19 next. I would like to present both our candidates, because last time you were here, you had a different kind of gift. So this one is Folsom College mug with a bunch of little goodies inside. These are fabulous. Thank you. And our Prop 19 speakers are here. If you guys want to come up forward, we'll get started. I'm going to go right away.